moving on from that, just briefly, there are so many things that cause stress and conflict. Stress and conflict is a little bit like marriage and kids. It's never convenient. It just happens. You're going to go with the flow sometimes. There are lots and lots of causes of stress and conflict in the workplace. There are as many causes as there are people in this room. There's probably around about 140, 145 people in this room by my estimate, looking here. But I'm just going to cover 4 and talk about these with you just very briefly. Ego. Ego. It's not the biggest cause. It's certainly a huge contributing one. Everyone knows the people around them have got a big ego. That sense of self-importance, self-righteousness. They're never wrong. They're overly sensitive to criticism, and so on. A question for you all. In a battle between two wills, where one person has a big ego and the other person has a small ego, which one is in the best position to win the fight? Who thinks it's the person with the biggest... Hands up who thinks it's the person with the big ego is in the biggest position to win the fight. Hands up. Who thinks? Okay. We've got about maybe a couple of dozen hands going up. Who thinks the person with the smallest ego is in the better position to win the fight? Okay. Probably twice as many. Why do you think the biggest ego has got the advantage? Who can tell me? What's that? They've got more to lose? Okay, made more control over the person with the smaller ego. They believe they're going to win, that sense of conviction. Absolutely. Okay, I'll turn that around. Why the smallest ego? Those of you who put your hands up and said the smallest ego, why do you think the smallest ego?
They're open for communication.
Communication? Okay.
No
what else?
baggage.
No baggage? You're limited, less baggage? Yep.
Probably more open to ideas.
More open to ideas? Yeah. Okay, you're right. The main difference is what I call negotiables versus non-negotiables. The more emotionally attached we are to something, the more things are non-negotiable. You ever died in a ditch about something that looking back you thought, what the frig was that all about? How many arguments have you had about the dishes? They're just dishes. The dishes aren't actually important, it's what they represent in terms of the emotional attachment we have to doing the dishes. The person with the smallest ego has got the advantage because they've got a better ability to detach themselves and walk away without actually losing anything of importance. People with big egos die in a ditch over the smallest, mundane little things because everything to them is stuff they've got to lose, even though it's actually not that important. So if you feel that you're being browbeaten, if you feel that someone is talking over the top of you, if you're dealing with someone who's got a big ego, remind yourself that you actually have the advantage. You've got a better ability to think clearly. You've got a better ability to reduce the impact of stress on the prefrontal lobes of the brain and think more clearly and offer those kinds of alternatives for you. So ego, cause number 1. So if you get into a scrap, have a small ego. But if someone's really having a go at you, and we're going to talk about anger a little bit later on, some statistics would show, not all, but some statistics would show that inherently angry people, inherently hostile reactors, are 3 times more likely to die than non-angry people. So if someone's having a go, you can just kind of smile smugly and think, you're going to die before I do.